What's going on, you guys? Today I'm just doing a whole lot of little stuff, and I thought I'd show you how to take off the S2000 cluster and then use their little converter to get your data right, so the speedometer reads correctly and the temp reads correctly. So what you want to do first is take off this screw and this screw, and then you'll pry the little hazards button up and it'll pop open, and then you can pull it all the way out, disconnect it, and then you can pull this whole bezel out. Be really careful that it doesn't get caught up under right here, because otherwise you can crack it, like I have a crack right here. So once you take that out, then there's only like 4 bolts holding in my S2000 cluster. You pull it out, then you take the converter off, you hook it up to the computer, and then you start changing stuff. So just like that, I used 2 little Phillips or flathead screwdrivers and just wedged it up. So now you can easily grab it and then disconnect this plug. So I went ahead and disconnected it, and now it's time to wiggle this piece out. It does take 2 hands because you don't want to pull it unevenly. You want it to be the same speed. So I'm going to put the camera down. So I got this whole piece out. What I like to do is put it on the ground and then put it under the car, because no one can step on it when it's on the car, and I know the car is not going to be moving while this is all out. So then I went ahead and took all 4 of these bolts that hold the S2000 cluster down, and then you can kind of just wiggle it out while trying not to break anything. So now it's kind of out of the way. I got these sweet little adapter plates, whatever, that make it go from the S2000 cluster and line up with the EG hatch dash off eBay. They're like 50 bucks. In my opinion, well worth the buy, because I think it would have just been pretty hard to manufacture but recreate something like that. So here's my K-tuned S2000 dash converter. So I'm just going to unplug it if I can with one hand. So it's unplugged. So now what you got to do is use this little conversion harness that plugs the converter here and then USB to computer, and then when you download the app you can change all the values to get it to read right. So I went ahead and changed the values. So now I get to plug this back in and then make the S2000 cluster sit good, and then we'll take it for a test drive. I said earlier that you aren't going anywhere without this, but I find it easier to just leave this in the car while you make sure you get your speed right, because my least favorite part about this K-tuned conversion harness, it works great, but you have to pull it all the way out and plug it in to do anything to it, and then put it all the way back together just to see if you got the, everything right. And I say that because you don't actually know. All it is a percentage change, and then like the coolant is a whole bunch of like tiny little values that like don't easily read on like your S300. So you kind of have to go guess and check for a couple times, but you kind of get the hang of it after doing it 2 or 3 times. So I'm gonna go give this thing a little drive. I am having a misfiring issue, which I'm trying to work through. I changed the spark plugs, but that didn't do it. The injectors were just cleaned. So I'm thinking it's maybe the coil pack. I data logged, and it doesn't have any weird timing issues. So I have no idea. It's got plenty of fuel. The fuel pressure is at a good 40. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. I have a couple things I want to keep doing to work it, but I got to do one step at a time. So I'm going to put this back on and see if we can get this speed to read right. One thing I should add when you go for a drive like this is to plug your hazards back in, because they are what control or help control your blinkers. I'm not quite sure the electronics behind it, but you cannot use your blinkers unless you have this plugged in. So pro tip. All right, so I was hoping to make this video with a happy ending, but since I don't see a happy ending anywhere in the near future because I'm still diagnosing, I figured I'd give a little update. So far, right now the car is misfiring pretty bad under acceleration. So cruising around, no problems. When I rev it with there's no load on the car, no problems. But as soon as I try to drive the car and accelerate, anything like that, it can get up to speed, but it misfires big time through the whole thing. Now, in a previous video, you guys know that I cleaned the injectors, so I don't think it's the injectors. The fuel pressure regulator holds around 40 PSI when at idle and when I rev it with no load. So I don't think it's anything fuel related, because when the misfire is occurring, the AFR gauge reads around 12 to 13. And you know, that's not great, but it's not enough to make the car misfire. So that's why, again, I don't think it's a fuel issue. So I went ahead and put new spark plugs in. As you can see here, my old ones. These all look really good, and they probably only have 6,000 miles on them. So the spark plugs obviously did not fix the issue. So then I tried known good coil packs off my buddy's CIVIC. That didn't solve my issue. So then I tried a known good distributor, and that didn't solve the issue. It was actually the distributor I ran an 11.8 on, that it was my buddy's that I borrowed. So I was like, well, it could be a ground issue. So I added this thick ground, and I remade my tranny ground right here. That hasn't solved the issue. I checked all freaking fuses right here and in the dash. No fuses are popped, so I don't think that's it. I've checked, you know, this fuse from my fuel pump. That isn't popped. So I'm at a pretty big standstill. So I'm not really sure what to do. But last night I went ahead and chased all the continuity of each plug wire. So I depinned each one and then stuck it in, and I found the corresponding wire for the ECU down there, and each plug wire had continuity. So I don't think it's anything Dizzy related, especially when I changed to my buddy's Dizzy and nothing happened. So that sucks. So my next thing I'm gonna try is I'm gonna run a power wire directly from the battery positive to the power wire for the coil pack and give it a rip. If that solves the issue, then I know I have a power issue going to the coil pack. I don't think that's the issue, because I tore apart my ECU and everything looked good under here. To the coil pack, at least all the solderings were nice and tight, and we weren't having any issues. So at this point, I'm pretty lost. I don't really know what to do. I'm gonna have a buddy who's like 10 times smarter than me come help me out, come help me diagnose. But for now, I'm just gonna keep slaving away, seeing if I can find anything wrong with this thing. If you guys have any ideas, please leave them in the comments, because I am freaking confused. I don't think it's ground. It's not the Dizzy. It's not the coil packs. It's not the spark plugs. I don't think it's the injectors. When I data log, the map sensor reads nice and stable. The TPS works. My buddy, who's I'm gonna have help with, we're gonna try out his injectors and his map sensor just to be safe, because at this point I'm willing to try anything. I also have a kinked line to my fuel pump. It's not kinked enough to me that makes it think it's a fuel issue, but I figure it's something that needs to be addressed, and I'm having issues, so I might as well take care of it. So right now, I've made a couple changes since I last drove the car. I'm gonna go give it a drive. If I still have issues, then I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna drain a lot of the gas inside the tanks, probably just out there. And then I will fix that, along with connect the 2 tanks at the top. Then I'll go for another drive. If that doesn't work, then I am going to, like I said, make a power wire from the battery to the power wire for the coil packs. And if that doesn't work, I'm just gonna sell it. It's not worth it. I'm just gonna sell it. K-swap them or two, dude. It's junk. No, I'm kidding. I will find this issue eventually. It's just gonna take some time. If I don't find it though, I will put that K-series in here. So help me God. So yeah, there's a little update. I really wanted a happy ending, but it's not looking like it. Also, shout out to my buddy Clay. He's got his own YouTube channel. He sold me this B-Series VTEC valve cover, along with some super minty door cards back here. I honestly don't even need the door cards, but they were just too nice to pass up. They're not this leather, material. They're just straight vinyl or leather, or whatever it is. So I might switch them out just because they look nicer, but honestly don't really need them. This one's actually in pretty good shape. The driver's side does have a little tear in it, I think. Yeah, they do have a couple little tears down here. Let me shine a light because you guys can't see at all. Yeah, do have a light. Otherwise, this is also pretty nice. He had another bezel right here because mine's cracked, but it had a hole drilled in it, and so I didn't really want it. And then nothing else he had really interested me, but super cool guy. Like I said, go follow his YouTube channel if you guys aren't already. I'll post it in the description. Alright, so I'm gonna get on it right here and see if it makes a misfire. Oh yeah. Can you guys hear it? If your Honda ever sounds like a Subaru, you know it's a misfire. This thing sounds like shit. I have no idea what's wrong. And when it misfires, it's reading 13.0 AFRs. So yeah, fucking sweet. Oh yeah, it's like I can cruise and there's no misfire, and as soon as I step on the gas, Jesus Christ, this thing's a turd. At least it's a good looking pile of shit. I have no idea why it's misfiring. It sounds like it's just down a hole. Like there's something in the coil pack that I'm like I said, I'm gonna hook power to it and hope to God that fixes it. I don't do it anymore. I'm confused. I'll figure it out, but